Hello and welcome to another 2019 NFL Draft Scouting Report video from Pigskin Prodigies. I'm Dan Musso, and today we're going to be taking a look at Washington cornerback Byron Murphy, one of the top draft-eligible cornerback prospects for 2019. Last year, as a redshirt freshman in his first start with Washington, Byron Murphy announced his presence in a big way to the college football world against Rutgers with a huge performance where he intercepted 2 passes and broke up numerous other passes against the Scarlet Knights. And if you take a look at his 2018 production and performance, you can see that he's elevated his play to even another level as a redshirt sophomore and has now positioned himself to be possibly the first cornerback drafted in 2019. So with that, let's get into talking about his skill set and what makes him such a special cornerback prospect. At a listed 5'11", 182 pounds, Byron Murphy certainly isn't the biggest cornerback out there, but he plays bigger than his listed size, and I'll get to talking about that a little bit more later on in the scouting report. But first I want to talk about coverage ability because that's obviously the most important aspect of playing cornerback. In terms of pure coverage ability, Byron Murphy is about as good as I've seen for a cornerback prospect since I started doing prospect evaluations back in 2014. In terms of overall coverage ability, Murphy is excellent. In off-man and zone coverage, he's great, and in press coverage, he's good as well. In man coverage, Byron Murphy does a great job of staying in phase with receivers at every level of the field, whether he's asked to run down the field with the receiver vertically, he has the speed to keep up, or if he's asked to cover a shallower route, then he has the quickness in short areas to match that receiver as well. In zone coverage, he's excellent because he has phenomenal instincts, great route recognition, and really good explosiveness, and I'll get to talking a little bit more about those individual traits later on in the video. But to transition into the next trait that I look for when evaluating cornerback prospects, Byron Murphy has great agility and technique. With very quick and fluid hips, Byron Murphy can effortlessly turn and run with receivers. He's got elite foot quickness and a smooth and efficient back pedal with no wasted motion or movement, no wasted steps. He's got very good mirror and match footwork to stay with receivers off the line, and he also stays patient and doesn't open his hips too early and allow the receiver to gain separation right out of the gate. As a press corner, Murphy does a good job of staying patient, and he's very precise and accurate with the strikes and displays good timing with his jam. When Murphy has to run with receivers down the field, he does a good job of crowding them and limiting their space for route running and route adjustments, and really using the sideline to his advantage and using the sideline like an extra defender. So overall, I think Byron Murphy's technique and agility are extremely impressive, and it's one of the reasons that he's able to be so consistent in coverage. Another trait that helps Murphy excel in coverage is his speed and recovery burst. Obviously, Murphy hasn't run the 40 at the combine yet at the time I'm recording this, but I expect him to test well in that drill. I think that he'll run in the 4.4s. That would be my estimate because you see on film that he shows very good recovery speed, whether he's beaten off the line initially or if he allows separation down the field. He has very good recovery burst. Also as a blitzer, he has a quick first step and good closing speed, so would expect him to run a sub 4.5 40 at the combine, and would be pretty surprised if he didn't test that well, but I guess we'll ultimately find out in a couple months. But I fully expect him to run a fast 40 and erase any concerns about his speed, if there were any to begin with. Another area where his burst really aids him is in zone coverage. He's got very good click and close ability when he plants his back foot out of a back pedal and explodes towards the ball, and that allows him to bait quarterbacks who may think he's out of position into throwing a pass into what actually turns out to be a tight window, and he's able to get his hand on the ball or intercept the ball. So that's just one thing that helps him to excel in zone coverage. One other area that helps him to excel in man and zone coverage is his stellar mental processing ability. I've already kind of alluded to it as far as zone coverage, but his instincts are outstanding in zone. He gets really quick breaks on the ball and also does a fantastic job of keeping his eye on the quarterback and keying on their intentions while at the same time maintaining awareness of the receiver's positioning and the route that they're running. Also in zone coverage, Byron Murphy displays a good feel for when to pass off receivers in zone and when to pick up receivers that cross into his zone. In man or zone coverage, his pattern recognition is truly phenomenal. He does a great job of feeling and anticipating route breaks, does a good job of using his hands to get a point of contact on the receiver and feel the route breaks, and that ability allows him to prevent separation out of receivers' routes. Another aspect of mental processing that Murphy excels at is ball tracking down the field. Murphy, because he tracks the ball so well down the field, is able to get his head around and locate the football, and that gives him a chance to make plays on the ball down the field. So that's just another area where he excels on the mental side of the game. So now I want to talk about another important aspect of playing corner, which is ball skills and playmaking ability. Byron Murphy has excellent ball skills, some of the best I've seen on a cornerback prospect in quite a while, I would say. This year, if you just look at the production, it was very impressive what he was able to do with both interceptions and pass breakups on the number of targets that he was afforded to make plays on the ball. So, on 48 regular season targets this year, Murphy picked off 4 passes and broke up 13 more. So 17 plays out of 48 this year that were thrown his way either resulted in an interception or pass breakup. So that's a really impressive percentage of plays made on the ball. So that's, I think, one of Murphy's most outstanding traits is his playmaking ability and ball skills. Also kind of talked about how he tracks the ball well downfield and gets his head around to find the ball, and that allows him to make plays on the ball. So that's one thing that contributes to his excellent ball skills. Another thing that he does well with his ball skills and playmaking ability is that he times his jumps well and high points the football. So that's just another contributing factor to his ball skills and playmaking ability. Okay, in terms of the next trait that I look for in cornerback prospects, which is more of a secondary trait that I don't value as highly, but something that I still look for, and that is run support and tackling. As a tackler and run support defender, I guess, Murphy is aggressive. He's not afraid to fly downhill and make a tackle, and he's got some shiftiness to avoid blockers when he's defending the run, but he's not a very good tackler currently. He doesn't consistently wrap up, and a lot of times he'll just dive at ankles. Not to say he can't tackle, but that's one area I think where he could demonstrate the most improvement probably, and one of his few areas of weakness, I would say, currently. But that's the thing that's mainly a technical issue, and may have something to do with size and strength as well, but definitely there is a technique issue there, and that's something that he could work to improve. In terms of size and physical traits, I mentioned it at the beginning of the scouting report, but I'll get into it in more detail now. Murphy has adequate height and length, it appears, based on the film and based on the measurements that we've been given before the combine. He's listed at 5'11", 182 pounds. Again, not sure about the arm length, but it doesn't look like he has short arms to my eyes, so has at least like requisite length, I would say, probably. Just going by the eye test. He does have a bit of a lean frame, so NFL teams may want to bulk him up a little bit to be able to match up with bigger receivers on the outside in the NFL. But I didn't really see play strength as much of an issue in the films that I watched. It didn't really see him get bumped off routes or just get consistently out-muscled for the football by bigger receivers. So I'll list it as a concern, but it's not something that I saw a lot of, and may not be as big of a concern as people think, but we'll have to see how he matches up with guys like Julio Jones and Mike Evans in the NFL, because that's a different ballgame entirely. So having that kind of limited size and possibly play strength could limit him as an outside press cornerback. If there's one knock I have on him in coverage and like in terms of physical ability, but it's not a big concern. I think he has the frame to add a little more weight. Maybe could get him closer to 190 if he's in fact 182. We'll see where he weighs in at the combine, but I think he has the frame to add a little more bulk and still maintain his explosiveness. Because of his size, I think he can play nickel and outside cornerback. Has shown the ability to play both at a very high level in college, so I think he's got the versatility to play any cornerback position that you want him to. Could maybe even play free safety if you wanted him to, because of his instincts in zone and athleticism, but I think I would definitely not move him to safety because he's such a good corner and that's a more valuable position, obviously. But if you needed him to in like an emergency situation, I'm just saying like he could maybe play free safety for you. Okay. In terms of red flags, Byron Murphy doesn't have any character concerns that I know of. The only red flag that I could come up with was that he missed 7 games in 2017 after breaking his foot in a practice. So missed like half a season pretty much last year, but that was the only injury concern that I found in his 2 years as a starter. So it's the only one I have listed for now. And it's somewhat of a concern, but I wouldn't label him injury prone if he's only had 1 injury. But nonetheless, it's something to note, and it's part of the evaluation. So to summarize my thoughts on Byron Murphy, I think that his scheme fit is really any scheme that you want him in. He should be able to play and excel in any scheme, whether you run a lot of cover 3, Tampa 2, or whatever it is you run. I think he'll fit seamlessly into any scheme, and he can be a plug-and-play starter for any team in the NFL from day one. In terms of grade, I've got Murphy as an elite top 10 grade. I think he's one of the best cornerback prospects I've scouted in the last 6 drafts. I think that he'll become a Pro Bowler quickly. I think he could even be a Pro Bowler as a rookie, like Denzel Ward and Marshawn Lattimore these past couple of years. I think he could excel immediately, similar to those guys. And I think that his ceiling is incredibly high and could reach all pro potential if he lives up to his fullest potential, I guess. In terms of how he stacks up traits-wise with some of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, I think that Murphy, maybe if he adds a little bulk and strength, he could maybe be a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. I compare him to Joe Hayden in his prime. That's the best comparison that I've been able to come up with so far. I see them as similar players because of their frames, their ball skills, and their versatility and ability to excel in multiple coverage techniques. So that's where I draw the similarities between those players, and those are my final thoughts on Byron Murphy. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch and listen to this video, and I hope you'll join me for more draft content that I'll be rolling out over these next few months as the draft gets closer and closer.